down, and the 23rd ranked Buckeyes have a narrow lead over this Wolfpack team by about a 1/10.5. You're watching women's gymnastics on the ACC network. We've got a close meet, which is exactly what we thought was going to happen. But let's take a look at Ohio State. You can see there their NQS, their national qualifying score, which is how they're ranked in gymnastics. Right now they're coming in 23rd in the NCAA, so well on their way to postseason, making sure that they're in the top 36 that advance. Led by this rock star Tori Vetter, Big Ten Gymnast of the Week early on in January. We're excited because we get to see her on all 4 events this evening, and they had some big opportunities over the last couple of weeks. Last weekend, their quad meet, the attendance, a home record just shy of 4,000 fans in their first sellout ever. So lots of enthusiasm, not only between the teams, but also with the fans in attendance. They've got one more meet in the regular season before they get started with postseason, a quad meet at West Virginia next weekend. And then let's take a look at this Wolfpack team. There you see their NQS just narrowly above Ohio State's, coming in 20th in the NCAA. So a very strong season so far for the Wolfpack team, led by this individual, Chloe Negretti, 3-time ACC Specialist of the Week, and more accolades than we can probably fit on the screen throughout her collegiate career. Just a phenomenal gymnast, along with Ashley Knight, again, 2-time ACC Specialist of the Week. We just saw her on vault with a huge 9.9, just missing that stuck landing. And again, as a sophomore, phenomenal impact on this Wolfpack team. And similarly to Ohio State, NC State had their first sellout crowd in program history earlier this year versus Cal, bringing in the fans, and the energy was just electric throughout the night. NC State's actually got 2 meets upcoming before their conference championship. This is a dual meet weekend for them, so they'll travel tomorrow to hit up Texas Women's University on a Sunday, and then they've also finished with a quad meet at George Washington on March the 14th. We'll be right back in just a few minutes with rotation number 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back inside Reynolds Coliseum, where Ohio State has a narrow lead by a 1/10.5 after rotation number 1. Another season high for this team as well on the uneven bars, besting last week's score by about a 1/10.5.
Yeah, something that we talk about is for these teams, you're wanting to peak at the right time. So for Ohio State to have all of their season highs last weekend and then to come here on a road trip and then get a season high on bars is a great start. And like I mentioned earlier, that's what you want at this point right before heading into that postseason.
And that 49 score, like, that is the threshold. So the 49 on each event, that's the 196 average. And really anymore, you don't make it into postseason if your NQS is not over a 196.
Absolutely. So that's something to keep an eye out and track of throughout the meet for reference.
So Sydney Washington lead off routine number 2.
And that's another Yurchenko full. We've seen a lot tonight so far. It was a nice, clean, solid vault, and that's what you want from your leadoff. Again, with these vaults that start from the 995, really wanting to hone in on those sticks. But that was a nice, almost had a little bit of a shuffle backwards, but again, a solid vault for them.
And we've talked before, a hop on the landing at a 10th each, if everyone does that, that's a fall for that event. Now, some of these are only a half 10th, which is still a 2.5 tenth, and when the meet is being determined by a 10th&1/10,
right,
that really adds up. So Sydney Washington finished up as Kaylee Adamides, the bar specialist for this Wolfpack team, a junior out of Long Island, her one and only event, and in the leadoff spot, no less.
One thing I like about this bar routine are just her extensions and the lines that she's able to get. so far as she does at that Maloney down to that pack. Nice handstand on top of the bar into that Stalter, looking for a stick here, and she's able to get it. A nice routine for NC State. It looked like she was rushed on a couple of things here and there that the judges may deduct on, but overall, a nicely done bar routine. Take another look here. Notice the extension that she's able to get.
So a great routine out of Adamides. Only went 9.625 last week. So this routine should definitely increase from there. But like you said, maybe a little bit of strength versus swinging throughout the routine.
Yeah, those high bar scores are going to come when the swings just look so at ease for these athletes.
All right, so this is Riley.
Wow. Really beautiful vault.
Huge.
I loved the height and the distance. We've seen on a couple of these Yurchenko falls that it's either the height or it's the distance. So she was able to put both of those together. Take another look here. Love how she had straight arms off the table and just is able to break out. In my opinion, this is one of the best Yurchenko falls that we've seen tonight. So that's going to be, or should be, a good score for Ohio State.
That was fantastic, like you said, and exactly what this Buckeye team is looking for. So a great second spot for Ohio State. This is Maddie Reed, the junior out of Chapin, South Carolina.
Starting off strong with that handstand on top of the bar. We've seen that Maloney down to the pack. So she almost hit her feet on that. That's going to be a deduction. Not sure what the judges will take. Yeah, that was just a timing issue on her swing there. That handstand a little short too. Does the flow, dismount, is able to land with a stick. So she does a great job being able to cover that up. But again, a couple of issues here and there throughout the routine. I like though that she was able to work through them, because sometimes when your timing's off or something goes wrong, it can throw off the entire routine. But she did a great job being able to finish and pull that out with a stick.
She did a phenomenal job. Actually made her debut last week and anchored the lineup with a 9.775. So jumping into that second place spot, the only real kind of mishap was that release down to the low bar where maybe her feet hit, maybe not so much. But we'll jump back over to the vault. This is Carly Reitzel.
Gearing up for this vault here. Front handspring, front pike. Wow, nice job on that landing. That is the blind landing that we talk about, but she had great form and extension throughout her toe point, even on that front pike, which is really hard to do, all the way through to the end. So you can see here, huge, and is able to pull that all the way through. Very nicely done on that. That's going to be another big score for Ohio State.
Absolutely. Again, not a 10-0 start value, so it'll start from a little bit lower, but the execution was clean and just the smallest hop on the landing. So halfway through, Ohio State on vault. Ava Myers in the third spot for the Wolfpack.
So far, love the form that she has and the execution. She does that Maloney back down to the pack, but notice the rhythm that she has throughout the routine. A little bit off on that blind full and takes a step on the double tuck, but a clean routine. So had a little struggle on that high bar, but from the judges' angle and point of view, they may not have been able to see that. The highlight of this routine, though, being this release move right here. Nice body positions all the way from low to high and then back down. Right here on this dismount.
Very cricket on that full pirouette on top of the bar, so I'm glad she could pull the double tuck around. Unfortunately, had that step on the landing, but better than a fall. As we move back over to vault, in the fourth spot, this is Caitlin Grimes, one of their seniors.
Another huge Yurchenko fall. The block and the height were definitely the highlight. She just had that jump almost in place again that we've seen. It's tough to stick sometimes on these mats. But we'll take another look here.
Grimes is one of their vault specialists. She's been a really strong part of this lineup throughout her career. 9.825 last week.
She's really able to get that block off the horse like we haven't seen quite as many with huge height tonight. So like how she was able to set herself apart doing that.
Caroline Volk on the uneven bars, one of the freshmen for this Wolfpack team. So 2 freshmen back to back.
And we see that really big release move combination. That's something that's very popular in college these days. And does the double layout in with a stick. It looks like it surprised her a little bit, but
it definitely did, but a phenomenal routine out of Volk. Only went 9.75 last week, so I'm going to go with that was a little bit better than last week's routine.
Yeah, this is a really tough release move, but she does a great job getting height over the bar. And again, any type of release move where you're going from one to the next is difficult. But I like the double layout body position throughout and her reaction when she sticks.
The single bar release to the transition release, so lots of bonus in that combination. We'll take a look at freshman Cameron Smith for this Buckeye team. Smith actually 13th in the Big Ten rankings on this event.
And she does a 1.5, which is a 10.0 star value. That's the first one that we've seen tonight, but I like the distance she was able to get. That vault had a lot of power. You can see right here, beautifully done. She's almost stick straight throughout, which is really difficult to do, and then controls it with that blind landing.
And if you hear the crowd in the background, that is a 9.925 for Caroline Volk on the uneven bars. So a fantastic vault out of Smith as Ellie Hadrick takes to the uneven bars. Our first glimpse of her this evening.
She has a huge straddle Jaeger. Goes right down to the low bar. She did a great job. I think she was able to hold her feet up, but it looked pretty close.
It definitely did, but you can almost tell the judges can actually see if she made chalk marks on the mats.
Yeah, that takes a lot of strength to be able to hold up, but almost had that stuck just now. But again, it looks like there's a couple things here and there, but the athletes are able to work through them, which is what you want at this point in the season. Being able to stay on the bars, and again, you can see right there, she does that release move. I can't tell if she hit the bar or the floor or not.
It is. It's really hard to tell to see if there is a mark on the floor. The judges may have they've got a closer look than our cameras. And then just the hop on the landing. So almost through these lineups. This is number 2 for Vetter. 2 of 4 this evening. Coming off of a 9.85.
She does a huge Yurchenko full. Notice how she broke out of that vault at the end. That was when you know that you have great air awareness and sense there. We'll take another look here. You can see she pushes off and then just kind of spreads her arms. She's like, yeah, I know where I'm at. So that's going to be, that definitely should beat that 9.75 that they're dropping right now.
So a phenomenal job. She's a redshirt junior, so she does have another year of eligibility on this team, and I'm sure the Buckeyes are excited to be able to bring her back.
Yeah, we've seen some great gymnastics from her already tonight. We're going to see a lot more.
Katie Harper anchoring this bar lineup.
Really nice handstand on top of the bar. She's able to hold that. She does that Ginger release move, which was close to the bar. You could tell when she caught, her arms are just bent and close, so she had to take that extra swing there, which unfortunately will be a deduction. But finishers with the double layout and lands with the stick. So we talk about issues throughout or struggles throughout these routines, and this is happening in a matter of seconds, right? When you're an athlete on the uneven bars, there's so much going on through your mind. So for her to be able to kind of reset and still make it through that routine.
So this is the release move you were talking about, just ends up a little too close to the bar.
And it kind of started out with that handstand. You saw her pike that handstand and save it, and that threw off the rhythm right off the bat there. So that made it a little more difficult. But then, like I said, she was able to reset and land that double layout with the stick. So that's a positive coming out of that routine, and the fact that she wasn't phased by that and didn't come off the bar.
Absolutely. And again, uncharacteristic of her. She went 9-8 last weekend on bars. The Wolfpack still at a 49-1. My guess is that's going to be the score that they'd like to drop. So Kaylee Adamaiti's 9.75 will be counted in their overall team title, and Ohio's or team total. And then Ohio State a 49.075 on vault. Just narrowly missing last week. Last week they went 49.125, so 0.05, which, like we've talked about, is a scooch of a foot on one of those landings. It's a tiny pike down on one of the Yurchenko fulls. So we've got two exhibitions for the Wolfpack team. This is Peyton Childs, who we have seen quite a bit of in the bar lineup.
Yeah, she does that really unique hip hop right there where she flips her hands and does the straddle Jaeger down to the low bar for that overshoot. Really like that handstand on top of the bar, and that blind full right on top as well that we can see from our angle, and then is able to do a double tuck and drop that in. I really like that routine, the form throughout. Again, I've talked about the rhythm a couple times, but it's important to kind of stay on pace throughout the routines.
And we'll get to see Childs again on beam. She is one of the seniors on this Wolfpack team and has been a phenomenal player, particularly in the bar lineup throughout her career. So there you see Katie Harper score that 9.45 coming in, missed some bonus connections, and just some extra swings in there as well. And I believe we've got one additional exhibition for the Wolfpack team. Jenna Rusk is going to take her place.
Katie Harper's 9.45, like you just mentioned, from that extra swing, but we highlighted how she did come off the bars and didn't take that fall, which is something to note because every 10th counts. So even if you're in a post-season competition, whether it's conference or regionals, you never know. And it's hard in the moment to think about that, but you truly never know what's going on with other teams or where you can make up some of those mistakes. So it's important to kind of keep an eye on the bigger picture as well.
It kind of goes back to it's not over till it's over.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's really hard to think about in the moment, especially when you make a mistake. It's like you're so hard on yourself, but
absolutely,
you just never know.
So we've talked about today being senior day and making sure that this coaching staff has routines to be able to put in for next year. So Jenna Rusk, one of the freshmen out of New Braunfels, Texas, getting some play time as well.
Yeah, and so far, it's been a beautiful routine. She did that Maloney as her release move. I liked the form that she's having throughout. She does that unique front giant, and then looked like she was good on top of the bar, just maybe second guessed herself a little bit because from this angle at least, it looked pretty good.
It looked really good. She was, like you said, she was right on top of the bar, making sure she hit that pirouette in the handstand, and then just couldn't quite hold on. But again, a great experience for her. So as you get more time out there, more time in front of the judges, I would say this is probably the hardest part, is just getting up and finishing your routine with a dismount. Nothing in front of it. She may do that blind combination again.
Yeah, we'll see how she'll finish this off. I'd imagine the high bar combination again. Does a double tuck dismount. So really nice potential for a good routine there. I liked the combination and the release moves. Again, just second guess yourself a bit.
So that concludes rotation at number 2. You can see there Ohio State still has just a very, very narrow lead over this home Wolfpack team. Ohio State's going to move over to the floor exercise. NC State is going to move to the balance beam. And we'll be right back on the other side of the break.